Well, welcome to the podcast this week, Caitie. How are you doing?
I'm good. This was a surprise to walk into today. Wasn't expecting it again.
Again, yeah, both of us.
I've learned to expect the unexpected in this space, I think.
Well, on that topic, could you name something else that's been unexpected?
Well, we were just talking about this, but you said no one would want to listen to a podcast about vegetables. But I mean, every time I come in here, you have a new plant given to you by Ritika. So
Yeah, that is true. What have I had? I've had a okra plant, which I don't necessarily eat or like okra. And I've had, now I have eggplants, which I don't necessarily eat much either. So,
yeah, not
but
very useful.
I am quite keen to learn how to use plants more effectively and grow them effectively. So
We should have a forged vegetable patch.
oh yeah, maybe a vegetable wall.
Yeah.
Look at that. From a client perspective though, is there anything that is unexpected in terms of starting working with Forge Fitness and Performance? Something that you might have come across that maybe has challenged what you originally thought personal training was, or how you work with people?
Definitely. I think, well, just in general, you have a very unique way of training people and a unique approach to coaching people. And so that's been quite eye-opening to me. I've learned a lot of new movements. The oil rigger, what did we call it? The prone oil rigger. Yeah. That was a new one to me. So yeah, I've definitely picked up a lot of new movements. And I think the thing is with when you're doing one-on-one compared to group fitness is that you have to be so flexible in your approach as well, because I've seen so many times when clients come in and, oh, I've got this niggle, or oh, I'm just not really feeling this today. And you kind of have to just think on the spot and switch things up.
That's a really good point. I think as we haven't planned any of this chat, by the way.
No.
So this is all just off the cuff. But I think like when we're talking about building programs for clients, often we would have a set plan. The client comes in, but on any day they might be feeling amazing and it's just not enough. Or more than often they're quite stressed. Things have been busy. They haven't slept well. And we need to be extremely adaptable in terms of the plan. So although the clients have a process and a plan, we keep it really adaptable and flexible. There's no point like pushing someone hard when they're already stressed and burnt out from life.
100%. I think that's what makes the training here so effective. Like you said, there's no point in trying to push through something, or like you said, if you've not slept well or you're stressed at work, coming in here and beating yourself up is not going to make you leave here feeling any better. So I think that's our end goal, isn't it?
In fact, I reckon one thing that's interesting for me, that has been interesting for me over time, is everyone walks in and is like, oh, how are you feeling out of 10? 10 being, I'm really awesome. And then 1 being, oh, I just feel awful, like it's just been a terrible time for me. I've got no energy. I'm down. But a lot of people walk in that 3 to 6 out of 10 bracket. And they're just like, life is like really stressing them out or tough. But then they leave feeling 8, 9, 10 out of 10. And I think it always happens. And there's the old saying, nobody ever regrets a workout.
100%. I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah. Unless they get injured.
True.
But that is something that we do really care about, and we do everything we can to support and manage and safely train our clients.
Yeah.
So I think that one thing we could do is talk about a client, go through a client journey right from scratch. So somebody that walked in a couple of weeks ago, like a brand new client, and they have basically set their life into complete, I want to get fit and I want to get strong and I want to get healthy mode. And this client, when he initially reached us, he had been doing strength training for 3 weeks. So he got through that initial really sore, stiff, niggly phase, you could say. He's worked on his nutrition, so he started eat the right things and balance that side of the training out well. He does have some movement niggles, so there's a history of low back pain. There's also some shoulder and neck issues that he's had to deal with. And so I think most people, when they see this client, they might be a little bit overwhelmed or hesitant in beginning a training program with him. I mean, if you were to have started with him from scratch, do you think he would have been easy to manage?
I think with this client specifically, the hardest part with him is because he is a very all or nothing kind of personality. I think we've figured that out, and he's been quite open about that, where he will literally be all in on health and fitness or nothing at all. Whether that's nutrition or training, so on both fronts. So I think with him, it's definitely finding that balance where he's feeling challenged enough and he's feeling like he's getting value out of the sessions, but not then pushing him too hard that then it causes injuries, and those niggles that you were talking about, like the lower back or the neck, that those then become worse. So it's about finding that balance. And he is also training 5 times a week. So I think we've done a good job so far, because obviously we're both training him throughout the week. So just finding that balance and communicating between us as well to make sure that we're sort of covering all bases throughout all 5 sessions.
I think that's a good point. We're both training him, and that's quite common with some of our clients, especially from a timing and time management perspective, where we couldn't fit the client into the times that were wanted regularly. Sometimes we share clients, and so it's just us having a good relationship, being able to communicate where the client's at. Are there any red flags? Are there any niggles at the moment? And then making sure that we change or adapt the program accordingly. And so, that sets us up sets the client up for the best possible outcome in their training.
Definitely. And I also think that for someone who is training regularly and quite often throughout the week, it is nice to have that variation in coaching style and
Actually, this client would have been happy to train 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And so our recommendation was, let's actually bring you to 4 to 5 times a week. And I've given him some homework to do outside of the training that he's doing here. So here we work on the strength and the mobility and the function. But in his own time, he then goes and he does walking. And so he'll walk for an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. But remember, this person is all in on the exercise. So they really are doing everything they can to make the most of their fitness journey at this stage.
100%. I think it's good, when the motivation's there, use it to your advantage, but I think it's also good that he has the guidance. But he is very sensible in that way. He's very trusting of the process, and he's very open to taking advice on board and things like that. So that's been easy in that sense, where you don't have to convince him of a certain thing. He's very open to what you have to say.
Oh yeah. No, he's very compliant, and he told us, whatever you tell me to do, I will do. I'm not going to question it that much. You guys are the experts. We'll let you guide this process. In terms of building his program for 5 days a week, so just tell us or tell the podcast how we went about that.
So we obviously want to be strengthening his whole body, but because he's training 5 times a week, we've decided to split that between upper body days and lower body days. So we've started with 2 upper body sessions. One of them is more of a pull focus. One of them is more of a push focus. Then we also have our 2 lower body days, where again we're making sure that we're covering all bases and not overlapping too much. But we are sort of starting with very simple, basic movements for now. I think that's something that you do with every client when they walk in here. It's like you kind of have to prove yourself a little bit to make sure that you've got the sort of basic foundations down before we then start to, progress from there. So we've started pretty simple but effective with him. And then I believe you are also doing a more sort of conditioning style day with him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we put in just something to build his anaerobic fitness or build his stamina and capacity. So we really not just working on the strength of the mobility, managing the niggles and the injuries, but also building in some capacity so that he can then translate that into his activities of daily living to a higher level.
Yeah, and also I think what's cool about this client is that he does have quite a lot of hobbies. I mean, he comes from a very sporty background from a young age. He's very into polo, very into running.
Horse polo.
Horse polo.
Yeah. Horse polo. Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I like that he has an end goal, or like not an end goal, but like an outside goal. So he's not just doing this for, I'm not to say that vanity reasons are bad or anything, but he's got this like bigger picture goal, which I think is also very motivating.
True. The outcome goal is not just I want to lose 15 kg.
Yes.
The goal is also I want to horse ride at a higher level, or I want to be able to play polo again, or for him as well, running is quite important. So I want to be able to run like I was running 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the mini goals that he has in the gym here are kind of just sort of instrumental in his end goal, basically. Yeah. The process of that is he's going to commit to coming here 5 times a week. He's going to do his endurance walking, which initially he was doing it at a really high level. So he would go out and walk as hard as he could and get his heart rate up as much as he could. But one thing that I've changed, which is research backed, evidence based, in order to decrease stress, which is a big factor in his life. And in order to improve his cardiometabolic fitness, we need to actually take the heart rate down and keep it lower. So I have actually told him not to train as intense as he can, but just to go out and enjoy the walk and just work on going longer, but at a lower level. Yeah. And I think that's a prime example of, harder is not always better. You have to sort of be smart with your training and, factor in what your actual end goals are. For him, like you said, a huge part of this is reducing his stress levels and and
it's been 2 weeks, but already that client is just he's so positive. He's loving the journey and loving what it is that we're able to offer him. And so I think there's many clients in his boat, and here we have the skill sets and the programming ability and capacity to just work with anyone on their goals and their habits, and make positive habit changes, which sometimes doesn't mean harder. Sometimes it means, like you said, smarter.
100%. Yeah.
And so to encourage anyone that wanted to start and maybe balance their total training load, maybe just to find a better balance of that, we're here and we can help you, and we can really positively impact your training journey and your training outcomes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I think that's enough for today's chat.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the Forge Fitness and Performance podcast. And you can check us out on our other channels, Instagram and YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you in the gym.